Hey there, Mama. Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. I'm Kirsten Tyrell, and I am the host of this awesome podcast where I get to sit down with moms from all over the world from various walks of life to share their stories of inspiration, knowledge, and all kinds of good stuff to remind you what a truly marvelous mom you are. So sit back and relax, or plug your headphones in and keep doing whatever you're doing, and enjoy today's episode of the Marvelous Moms Club.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. In case you haven't noticed yet, this is not Kirsten. This is actually Whippy from Whippycake.com. And we have a little switcheroo going on today in honor of International Women's Day. And we are turning the focus to women business owners. So I'm going to be interviewing Kirsten.
Yay!
How you doing?
This is so funny and so weird and so exciting all at the same time.
I know. It's like a Freaky Friday.
It is like a Freaky Friday. So you were episode, I'm going to have a hard time not just like taking over.
I know. I will try to maintain command of the ship.
Yes.
But yeah, I was episode 79. And that's kind of where we kicked off our friendship, really.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes. And I think it's weird that you were 79. I was just telling you, I thought you were 30 or 40 because it feels like I've known you way longer than not even a year. April will be a year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Bananas.
And that's just proof positive of how many cool things happen when you have a podcast.
No kidding. And I can't believe how much has happened. But as the interviewee, I want to just interview you and ask you some basic questions in case anybody is just listening to you or to this for the first time. So let's start with how many kids you have and how old they are.
I love this. It's so fun to get to answer this. I really don't know if I ever talk about the ages and names of my kids. So Connor's 7, Parker's 5, and Felicity's going to be 3 in April. So I'm finally out of, I think everybody's potty trained. I think I'm crossing my fingers. We're almost done with potty training, and we're getting out of the woods of newborns and babies. And I have no idea if we're going to have more. I really don't. But that is what life looks like right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with Felicity being almost 3 and all of these huge milestones, you're breaking past them. What does a day or a week in your life look like now?
I think this is really fun, and I'm excited to answer this because it's changed so much, and mostly because of you. This is so random. I came to visit you. The first time I came to your house, I was just awestruck because you work from home. And most of your kids are already in school or preschool, but you actually use childcare so that you can get work done. And you would think that notion would just not be that foreign to me as having been an entrepreneur for over a year. But I literally was doing it all. I was trying to do homeschool. I was trying to have all the kids home most of the day, and I was super run ragged. And after being exposed to how much fun it was to maybe have some alone time, I just switched it. So as of now, Connor's in school for 6.5 hours. We put him back in school right before the whole mascara thing launched, which was a huge blessing in disguise. And Parker's in preschool half day, and my little Felicity, my sister, comes and watches the younger two a half or a full day, 3 days a week. So Mondays and Fridays are kind of different days. Friday is just a family day. We try and have all the work done on Thursday so that Friday, since we have early out day and there's no preschool, we have 3-day weekends all the time, which is really fun. A day in the life, I think it changes so much. And you probably know this because of the business that we're doing right now. Some days it's everything's an emergency, drop to the floor and duck for cover. And then the next day it'll be how come nobody has talked to me all day long? So it's kind of a weird summary. I guess it's just, it ebbs and flows, but it's fun. I enjoy my time with my kids more now that they're not by my side every waking second of every day. It's so nice.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, now that, because I feel at least I went through this, and I know a lot of other entrepreneur moms and working moms have had the same experience where they, that initial few days or a few weeks where you take your kids to daycare, or basically that detachment period where they're no longer attached to your hip all day, every day. And you kind of have that guilt. I don't know if you did, but I did. I had that guilt of, oh my gosh, I'm the worst mom. Like, what are my priorities if I'm working and I should be able to watch them? This is like my duty. Um, did you experience that? Did the world fall apart? Did your kids have emotional breakdowns, or did it end up like, what were the pros and cons to that switching over?
I think the only person it affected for the negative for a hot minute was me. Like, my kids didn't care. They were so excited. I think we were all really, really sick of each other. Like, honestly, I think we were super overdosed on being together all the time. We were not in like a mean way sick of each other. It was just like, there was no variation. There was no like excitement. There was nothing kind of new under the sun. It was just like in survival mode. And this changed it to where it became more like, I don't know, the kids love having something to do. They love that they get to go somewhere. I think my situation's really, really nice. And I think most people find something that's comfortable for them. And it works for me because it's my sister. My Felicity gets to play with her cousin. So it's not like they're just gone and I have no idea what they're doing. It's with somebody I trust and somebody I love who I think would do everything the way that I would do it, even if they were home. And so, yeah, I felt super guilty because I was like, wait, but I've been trying to do it all this whole time and I thought I was doing okay. And guilty that I was really enjoying not having them here. But it really wasn't guilt that they were gone. It was just guilt that, like, I wasn't as amazing at doing everything as I thought I was. And that it was actually so much better for me to have, like, focused time. And then I feel like I did, like, overcompensate for a little while. Like when they were home, it was just like, okay, now you're home and I'm going to fully dedicate all my attention to you. And like, they didn't care. They didn't need that. They weren't like, oh my gosh, I've missed you so much. I was gone for 3 or 4 hours. It was just like, hey, and I didn't realize how much we all needed a break from each other until we got one.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I mean, I've seen that in myself too. Like, I went through the exact same thing where I felt like really I was the only one having the negative reaction,
Yes.
the internalizing the guilt and whatnot. And then I started to pay attention and see how much they were thriving off of
Yeah.
the external, like out of the home stimulation and social relationships. And my kids were coming back and they were getting along with each other way more. They were in much better moods and they were learning things that I wasn't, focused on teaching them. So
Yeah.
I just thought that would be a fun thing to touch on because I know when we first met, you were doing it all at the same time. And I just admired that too. But I'm also curious if you've noticed like an increase of your productivity and that sort of thing, as a working entrepreneur.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Like Ben and I both were like, how did we ever get anything done when all the kids were home? Like literally all the kids were home every single afternoon. There was only a 3-hour window when we didn't have Parker because we didn't homeschool him. We only homeschooled Connor and Felicity was too young for preschool. So we are addicted now to like our work time and everything that we do. And it's also like it gives you a different perspective because you're like, if I'm paying for childcare and I'm paying for somebody to alleviate some of these burdens, then I better be doing something with that time. Like I don't use that as an opportunity to sit around and watch Netflix or take bubble baths. Sometimes I do because otherwise I might not have time to like take a bath or a shower. But it's so amazing how much more we have been able to get done. And it's cool because like our business literally did hit a totally new level as soon as we allowed that to happen. And I think it's just because we had the focus we wanted to give it and we took it more seriously. We treated it like a business and not just like this kind of side hustle thing that we were doing that hopefully would work out. It was literally like, okay, we're working from home and we have every right to actually work for a really good solid amount of time every day. So for sure, we're
And
making way more money.
yeah. I mean, it's like if I'm going to be away from my kid and I'm going to be paying for childcare, then I'm going to work 10 times harder to make use of that time.
Exactly.
So that kind of reminds me, I mean, last year when I first met you, you were talking about your $1 million goal for last year. And I mean, that was kind of like every conversation kind of always circled back to that. So tell me about your $1 million goal last year.
I hope I at least, because like you said, every conversation circled back to it. So I think I focused on this in quite a few episodes, so I don't feel like it's anything new unless this is your first episode you're listening to. But I do feel like I kind of stopped addressing it a little like maybe 2/3 of the way through the year. And not because I didn't have the goal anymore. Well, maybe a little bit. I had set this like financial goal, which is super important. Like it's good to have something to kind of like follow, to push yourself to reach different levels. But sadly, what happened is the money goal got in the way of the work that needed to be done to get to the goal. It was just like, okay, like what can we possibly do? How can we make like $20,000 really fast? Or how can we make $10,000 really fast? Instead of like, what are the steps that we need to take to get to a point where we are worth $100,000 a month, which is like $1 million salary, right? So
Right.
it didn't happen, and it wasn't even anything. I think I never like said throughout the year, but if it doesn't happen, it's fine. Like I always said it as though it was for sure going to happen. And I felt like I wasn't ashamed of that when it didn't. I was just like, if I hadn't been shooting for $1 million, then I never would have gotten to where I am right now, which is at a point where the groundwork has been laid to where 2017 will for sure be the year that we hit that $1 million goal. Maybe even
Yeah.
multi-millions. Like I was talking to somebody today and I'm like, I think it's going to be in the multi. And she was like, are you kidding me? That's so exciting. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I really feel like I reached millionaire status because maybe my bank account didn't reflect it, but my mindset and my belief system and everything else that I was doing reflected that I was a millionaire. And I think it's only because of that that I will become one this year. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting little taboo, like setting a really kind of unachievable goal. But if I hadn't, like, I don't know if it was you I was talking to, and I was like, I mean, it's just crazy. It took a whole year and a half, and it was like, wait, only a year and a half? And we were been
Yeah.
able to do this much in a year and a half. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy the stuff that, I've been running my business for 7, 8 years now. And I feel like I'm the one coming to you and to Ben all the time asking for advice and, pointers and whatnot. I mean, for so many reasons, because you have learned a lot and really positioned yourself to be quite the expert. And also sometimes it's just really great to have somebody outside of the issues and the problems that aren't micro-focused like you. So
yeah.
it does, I totally forget and take for granted, like, that you guys are really new to the scene, right? To this entrepreneur roller coaster. So it really is super impressive. And you can tell, as somebody who works quite a bit, you have perpetuated that millionaire mindset and you've positioned yourself and associated yourself with other like-minded people. And I think that's really helped. So I want to know, do you have a new goal for this year? What's your plan?
I think maybe I'm a little gun shy to set the financial goal because I'm already expecting and I can already like forecast that it's actually going to happen to hit like the millionaire status. So I think really our goals are just so much more specific, like within each of our businesses, because Ben's still doing the Amazon thing. He's doing concierge. You know all about that.
Yeah.
Hashtag
But
bubble blender.
hashtag Baba Blender. Can you tell us a little bit more about that specifically? Like when you say Amazon concierge, what does that entail?
So so Amazon was so much fun for us. And I say fun, like there's just such a double-edged sword because it was so much work and there was such a learning curve. And even as we were sharing it, we were still learning so much. And we started teaching other people how to do it. And that became our focus, was like the online education aspect, selling the courses, helping other people achieve what we had achieved. And that slowly kind of drained us of all of our energy because it's really hard to help like 100 people do something instead of just focusing on your own success. It's great. Like sharing is caring, and sharing really does help your circle of influence and friendships grow. But something cool that happened as a result of yours and my friendship, which I think merits a whole other podcast episode unless we go super into it, is like there was this world of you as an influencer who has this following that you've worked on, like you said, for like 7 or 8 years, and you've done everything you need to do to hustle. And we're kind of jumping into this new day and age where you can produce your own product line. You can like make even more money, not just by promoting other people's things through affiliate links, but by actually having your own product. So that was kind of a genius moment that was born between Ben and I, where it was like, what if we applied everything that we were doing into the world of influencers and help them super, super monetize stuff that they had already created? And it's the same with like MLM, right? Like it's a business structure that's already in place. You might as well be promoting something that is going to earn you like residual income. And so Amazon was like a really, really good fit for people like you and a few of our other people who have come to us. So I think his goal is like, what's really fun now is we're at a point in our business where we have a couple of employees, but we want to be able to hire more. And we know that the clients are going to continue to flow in, like as people see the results and how much money you're able to make doing this. I think it's just exciting for us to see how much can we give back and how many salaries can we afford to pay based on what we're doing. And I think that's crazy. And there's a lot of imposter syndrome sometimes, especially with like, I know Ben was telling me that the other day, like, oh my gosh, I sometimes feel like I know everything that I'm doing. And sometimes I have no idea like how I'm going to keep doing this for like 10, 20, 30 people. But it's been so fun. So I think our goals have changed. Like we've always been really selfless, but now it's in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, I mean, when you said that you guys suffer from imposter syndrome, that just blows my mind because sometimes it hurts a little bit how much you guys know. I mean, Ben and his Amazon like ninja skills, it just makes my brain hurt. And I'm just so glad that I never have to even try to do it by myself because I would be so screwed. But so tell me more specifically about some of your personal milestones or goals that you're going to be working on and focus on this year.
Well, you know this because you are my like freaking boss mom, team member, leader extraordinaire with mascara. And I did share this on a whole episode, just like kind of a journey of how it all led up to this. But I think what's really cool is that as hard as I hustled last year and as little money as I really had to show for it, and I feel like everybody needs to know that. I interviewed so many guests last year who were mompreneurs who said like the first year you're not going to make any money. It's all going to go back into your business or you're just like you're building everything that you need to build. And that was really a hard pill to swallow for me. And I was like, yeah, right, I'm going to be the exception to that rule. Like I'm going to have $1 million by the end of the year. But it's true. Like every single little step I took last year led me to where I am now, to where my goals are way more exciting than I thought they would be. So like, 6 weeks in with mascara, I just posted this on Instagram and Facebook. I made enough money to like just go pay off our Disney cruise and then some. Like something that was going to be a little bit of a stretch. Here she's rolling her eyes a little bit.
Mind blowing.
Not rolling your eyes. You're just like,
it's like unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. There's 6 weeks in.
Coming from my head.
Yes. But you are not far behind. Like
True.
You're doing
hair
insane things. Yes, hair flip. No, and the only reason like you're not right there with me is because like I'm benefiting from all the work that you're doing, which is the coolest part of this business, is like being able to use leadership skills and resources to have built like such an amazing team of people who also want to hustle as hard as I'm hustling. It just makes everybody win. Like it's such a cool thing. So my goals really like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I already know like how much money I'm going to be making doing this. Clearly, if I'm making this much in the first like 6 weeks, then the year's going to be pretty crazy. So I think my goals are just to see how many people I can honestly help hit like millionaire status too. You're one of those. Yeah. You keep like holding back thinking like maybe, just maybe. I'm like, no. Remember when I drew a bubble chart and I showed you like the potential if you just did bare minimums here and there, like how, and you were like, oh my gosh, I understand. And you were so uncomfortable saying I'm going to be a millionaire. Are you more comfortable saying it now? Like, do you say it?
Yes and no. I mean, I think it quite a bit. I'm definitely more so in the mindset, but verbally, because I just don't want to, I'm always so concerned about how I'm going to make other people feel. Yeah. And I don't want to be overwhelming with my confidence or just like, or have it come off arrogant in any way, which is so funny because I just need to get over it and be more ostentatious about my mentality.
Yes, you do. I mean, yeah, hopefully that has never come across. And I think, but that's kind of like maybe a really secret trapdoor that you never want to fall in is, I know there's a lot of people who are money driven. I just talked to another friend of mine yesterday who's like, I am driven by money. Like, the motivation for me is money. Yes, there's other things that are great perks when you're doing any business, but like her motivation is money. And I think that if you can admit that that's your motivating factor without that being like a turnoff, it's just a slippery slope. And I mean, maybe that's how Ben has been. He's like, I don't want my story to be money focused. I want it to be like how I can help people and what I can offer to the world to make it better. So we're kind of a good mix that way, because I'm like, yes, but we also still need to make money. Like, he came from that nonprofit background where it was like, I'm going to spread the arts everywhere and be super poor doing it. And I was like, but I kind of want to have a lot of money. So I think you're like, I think it's great to not want to like come across as like money hungry, because that wouldn't work for anybody unless you, I don't know. I guess my intentions aren't only for money. It's wanting money so that I can do more things to help more people. So I guess that's the difference.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why I don't even blink twice when you say it is because you're so unbelievably generous with everything. Like, being willing to answer questions or drop everything to be helpful or to find resources and whatnot for issues. Even just like with your time in talking me off a ledge. And I know I'm not the only one, but also, you know, like just being super encouraging and inspiring all the time. So for me, it would be really hard to just look at you as money hungry, because I just know it's in your nature to be very generous with everything that you have. Money, information, time, all of it. So I think that really helps to kind of balance out and like, you know, sugarcoat that desire to have wealth so that you can, you know, perpetuate that wealth to other people in your community and your family and all the things. So
thank you.
I just love you.
I love you more.
This is the Kirsten Fan Show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in.
It's really uncomfortable to be on this end of the conversation in little moments like that. Like, it's nice because I'm just pretending it's only you and me that are ever going to hear this, but I know that's not true. So I guess it's like the price I'm paying to actually flip the switch and let somebody else ask me questions.
Well, I want to ask you, I don't know how much time we have left, but I'm going to assume not much. So I want to ask you one more question. From, let's say, just from our last discussion on your podcast, episode 79, and now, what would you say is one of your most sincere and important tips that you've learned in this period of time that you would really want to leave, like a lasting piece of advice or motivation that you would want to give to a new woman in the business scene, or you know, business owner of sorts? What do you want to tell her?
Can I give I'm going to give, of course I can.
Or
It's my podcast.
Top three.
Top three. I was going to say, can I give like my top 3 tips?
Yeah.
So I feel like this goes along with a lot of like the coaching I've been giving to our team. But the first one, I would say, the first thing that popped into my head that I've said on a lot of other interviews is like, don't just do it. Like, don't be afraid to just do it, and don't tell yourself that you can't. Just keep doing it every single day. Like, honestly, I know that sounds so cliche and I say that every time, but just get up and do it, and don't make excuses, and don't tell yourself the reasons that you can't. Tell yourself the reasons that you can and that you should. Number 2 is like, and I guess this kind of goes pretty close, but being consistent. So if you decide like that you're going to start a podcast, or you're going to start a blog, or that you're going to start an MLM, whatever it is, like, be consistent, because the more you flip-flop around, and obviously like we talked about the shopping cart analogy on your interview, and I still use that to this day. It's like my favorite analogy. Like, yes, you can do multiple things. Yes, you can be successful at multiple things, but being consistent with whatever those things are that you choose to do is going to lead to so much more success. And like, people who are just starting in mascara, who have no social media following, no prior experience or anything, I'm just like, you decide what you're going to do that's comfortable for you, and show up and do it every day or every week, whatever you've decided. And then what was my third thing? Oh, my third thing is that you need to be super forward thinking in that, like, something I learned, I think, between my interview with you and right now is that there is never a wasted opportunity. Something good comes out of every single experience you have, and you can never really calculate what your future will entail based on the things that you're doing right now. So it might feel like, oh my gosh, that was such a wasted experience. That conference was so dumb. I didn't learn anything new. Or that was such a failed attempt at making a new friend, or whatever. Like, that was so not beneficial, or that was so much hard work. I didn't even hardly sell any product. You have no idea how far those little steps are actually taking you strides ahead. And you're like paying your future self a favor every day that you show up and do the things that seem like they're fruitless, because they're not. Like, any effort, it's never in vain. Any experience, you can make something positive out of every single experience. And I think what I can do now in hindsight is I can see back to, like, I literally wouldn't be sitting here in the house that I'm in talking to you with the whole life experience I have if I hadn't interviewed you on the podcast last April. Like, literally, you and I have traced it back to how our Amazon concierge business wouldn't be what it is. Like, my life wouldn't be what it is. My personal life, like, nothing would be the same if not for that. And at the time when I interviewed you, it wasn't like, this girl's going to change my life, but you did. So I think that's, like, maybe the lasting, most important piece of advice is don't underestimate any experience or relationship or anything, because it's all good.
Yeah, I seriously just got bumps from, because it's so true. And as an entrepreneur and a business owner, sometimes I feel like it's very conflicting on when to charge and how hard to work for how little money. You know, at what point do you call the dead horse dead or whatever? And I struggle with that still after so many years of, do I charge for podcasts and this and that? And I can't even imagine if I had turned down the opportunity to talk with you and to get to know you the way that I have, because of a couple $100 or whatever. Could you imagine? I would have been denying myself this whole new path, because I feel the same way, even though we've helped each other in different ways. I just feel like I wouldn't have been open to certain opportunities. Honestly, if I hadn't been working with you and Ben for the bubble blenders and Amazon stuff in St. George that weekend, I don't even know that I would have been so ferociously, fiercely interested and passionate about getting started with mascara. Mm-hmm. I maybe would have dabbled or dipped my toe in, but just being there and having those conversations with you and with Carrot in person lit that fire. There was no putting it out. I wasn't just in it. I was in it for the long haul, and I was going to give it my all. And so I can't even imagine. I can't even wrap my mind around not having that huge pivotal moment from episode 79.
I know.
I just might have to name my autobiography episode 79, because I think that will.
Oh my gosh.
I think that will preface exactly just how things can, to reiterate what you said, you can never calculate or foresee what one experience, one conference, one person, how they can completely change your path in your life. So I love tip number 3.
Me too. This is so weird. This is going to show like how sentimental and strange I am. I will sometimes drive by neighborhoods or drive by places and be like, I wonder if that spot will ever have significance to me. I wonder if I will ever be like, I live here now and I remember driving past this house, or I own this now and I wondered if I would ever even like, you know what I mean? I'm so weird that way.
Yeah.
But now that I
love
see
it,
like, yeah, you can look backwards, and I just never could have foreseen where I am now. And it's so fun to think back. So
yeah. Well, and that's a great way to visualize, actually, visualize your affirmations.
Yes. Yeah. You're an amazing host, Whippy.
Well, thank you so much. I just want to thank our sponsor, which is whippycake.com. Head over there now.
Bubbleblender.com, the best silicone bubble blender on the market. You can get it on Amazon or bubbleblender.com.
Exactly.
Seriously though, go get one because it's like
Uh,
maybe my favorite product.
oh, you're so sweet. So guys, just thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Don't forget to celebrate International Women's Day and give yourself a pat on the back for just being awesome.
Thanks, Becky. I love you.
Love you.
Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next episode. I'm sorry I can't help myself. I have to be the one to end it.
Sure, do it.
Have
I'll
a
have
great
the last
one.
word.
Okay. No.
Have a good one.
Day. Bye.
Best
Ever.
ever. You're the
Hashtag.
best.
Bye.
Bye for now. Till
See you
next
later.
time.
Yeah. Arrivederci.
Peace and love.